What's up, guys? Went to QuadCon. Figured I'd come in here and I'd talk about it. I'd talk about the experience. I'd talk about what I got. Because, of course, I got some stuff. I mean, it was a con. Right? So yeah, went to the con, went to QuadCon. It was something that I normally don't do. QuadCon is one of those things that I've skipped many times, and there's a legitimate reason for it. It's not huge. Most of the things in my area are not huge. But just like I started going to Anime Zap, and I started giving it a chance, and I started checking out that con scene, and even did shows there and everything, it occurred to me that I really needed to give chances to a lot of these smaller things and kind of build community and be interested and go around and check these things out. And a while back, it hit me that the Anime Con was not doing it for me. And it hit me pretty hard when I really got to thinking about it. In fact, I did an entire video here talking about how I was probably not going to keep going to the Anime Con circuit. It doesn't feel the same as it used to. I think my focus now is more towards comic cons and video game cons, things of that nature. And I've also considered, especially since I actually have two costumes. It's one costume that's been heavily modified and worked on for the last 3 years. I have a type of scarecrow thing that I do. It's been considered by me many times that I'm probably going to get into the horror con circuit, because I love horror movies and I love a lot of that scene and whatnot. And I especially like classics and things. So there's a lot of these slasher films and things like that I'm so ridiculously into that it's kind of strange that I've never gone out of my way to go to a horror con. But I haven't. But in giving different things a chance, the smaller cons that I never really went to before, I go to QuadCon. QuadCon is not the biggest con in the world. It was hosted at the Civic Center for my area, and it had one stage set in the corner where a lot of people would gather, and that was kind of where they held the panels. So the panels are held in the same room as that everybody is shopping and that everybody is doing a bunch of different things. So like there's tables set up at one side of the room, which is for resting or playing games or whatever else happens to be going on. There are plenty of cosplayers there. There's stores set up all over the place, like all over the place. There was a whole bunch of shops and whatnot that was set up. And then in the corner, there was a stage. And on that stage, that's where they did a lot of the convention stuff in terms of the panels and whatnot. Some of it was pretty cool. There were cosplay competitions and things like that. But it is, I'll say this, it is a little, to have it all in one room, maybe off-putting is the best way to put it. Now, see, maybe this is just because of all the, the world and the virus and yada yada. But like for a long time, we have not grouped together like this. So I'm at this convention and there's like this panel for all the cosplay stuff. And I go over there and I'm very interested until I start standing over there. And then there's like people behind me and people to the side of me and people like kind of scrunching in on us. And then my daughter was kind of scrunching in on me because she's kind of uncomfortable. I mean, there was a lot of people crammed into this one corner to see this one event. The space was not adequate to have panels. If you had small panels that only interested, maybe 30 people or whatever, even that might be, I mean, there wasn't many chairs or anything. It's just the setup. And I'm sure this was a space thing. I'm positive of it, because I will give certain things to Anime Zap. When you go to Anime Zap, there are rooms for their panels. And that makes the panels seem a little more personal. It seems like you purposely went there out of your way to have a different kind of experience. You went to a panel. It's not the same thing as being in the shopping room. They are different experiences. But when they're in the same room, there's something a little off-putting about it. I'm going to admit that. At the same time, it was cool to constantly see everybody. I mean, so there was a plus to it because you never had that one person that you didn't see the whole night that you never saw until almost the end of the night walk by you and you're like, shit, I wish I would have got a picture of that person. Where was he the whole night? That's kind of cool because when everybody was grouped up, I did see everybody grouped up. But yeah, and I kind of wish that would have been separate. In fact, when you go to Anime Zap, I'm going to have to give it to them again. Their gaming room is much bigger and has a lot more gaming in it. QuadCon had a little table off to the far corner, kind of like, so like, let's say this screen is the layout, okay? If this was where the panels were happening in this corner, then this corner up here was where the games were. And the games were a table with 2 TVs. That's it. And while it worked, there wasn't like a huge group of people gathered around to play games waiting or something like that. But when I did walk by a couple of times, I did notice that the tables were like crowded. There would be like 15, 20 people at the one table. Space is important. Individual space to be able to grow your individual attractions are important. I've considered a couple of times that the next time there's an anime con here, the Anime Zap that I usually like to go to, I skipped it the last year. Something just hasn't been grabbing my attention about anime cons. But the next time it's here, I'm thinking that now that I've gone to a couple of these and seen how each ones are run differently, and like I'm looking at the space issue for QuadCon and the way that it's run, I would like the idea of going back to Anime Zap and just maybe spend literally the entire day in the game room. But then again, I'm the kind of person that collects games, and I have a lot of those games, and I could just set that up myself. You see the dilemma about some of this stuff? I know that it's a social thing, and that's a big deal too, and it is good to get out there and be social and things like that, which is something that I liked about this con in general, was stopping off and talking to other people, and like that was legitimately enjoyable. It was a big part of going to this con. But it was different. It was different, and it wasn't bad. I'm not saying that it was bad. There are parts that I could talk about, and there are parts that I could tell you were legitimately enjoyable. First off, the shopping experience for QuadCon was a lot better than the last time I went to the anime convention. The last time I went to Anime Zap, it was the shopping experience, and this is personal. Mind you, you have to keep this in mind when I talk about these cons. These are not the ideas that represent exactly what the con is. Different people are going to get different things out of this. And I'm not saying that either con is better than the other, or either con is worse than the other, or either con is bad. I'm telling you that I had a good time at both, and they're both different experiences. Cons, one of the things you have to get used to if you're going to get into that kind of interest, and you're going to run around in the cons, they're all different. They're all structured differently. And shopping at QuadCon was much more enjoyable than when I was shopping at Anime Zap. The last couple years, the last 2 years for Anime Zap have been not as enjoyable in terms of shopping. I've gone there, walked around like 4 or 5 times, and literally forced myself to buy something to feel like I actually, paid the cover charge for a reason. The cover charge for Zap was a lot more. Quad, $5. That's pretty sweet. $5 got me in the door. $5 allowed me to shop the market. $5 allowed me to meet with some of the local businesses that are in the area, and that was cool. See, I know a couple of the businesses in the area and knew their tables when I walked up to them, like Warp Drive Toys. That's a place that I enjoy quite a bit, and I go to quite a bit. I try to make it out there at the very least once a month. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but especially right now with all the medical bills and things like that pile up when you're paying money all the time and you're only making so much money, like, it is a lot to get out once a month and actually get to a shop, but his prices are reasonable and he always seems to have some cool stuff. And I like him. So I like to get out there and I like to talk to the owner of the shop. So as I'm roaming around, I did get a bunch of stuff. And that's what we're going to go into now. We're going to talk about stuff. The first thing I'm going to talk about is this. There it is. This is pretty cool. There were about 6 of these, and I looked them over, and at $10 a piece, I had to fight with myself for a little while as to what one I wanted. And I finally decided, after really looking this over, because there were a lot of good ones, okay? There was the yellow suit. There was the yellow jumpsuit. There was something from Enter the Dragon. There was one from Fist of Fury. There was one from the Chinese Connection. So, like, these different kinds of, and sometimes there were multiple, like there were 2 different yellow suit poses, and there were 2 Enter the Dragon poses, and so, like, I thought that was pretty cool, but if I was going to get something, I wanted to get something that kind of felt iconic, but not what everybody else has. Everybody has Enter the Dragon, and everybody has the yellow jumpsuit, the Game of Death. Everybody. So I bought a different one. He's in pieces right now. I'm going to pick him up here. In pieces. I'll put him together real quick, and we're going to look at him. Because he cost $10, and we're going to see if I wasted my money. There we go. He's made. He's cool. I think this is really cool. It's $10. It was a bit on the expensive side for being a little bitty piece of plastic, but it was Bruce Lee merchandise, and it was solid Bruce Lee merchandise. And this is really cool because it's from the first major film that got him really noticed. I realize, as a Bruce Lee fan, that he was in a lot of movies, and he was in a lot of shows. And some people seem to think that he only did the martial arts shows, like the martial arts movies. This was the first of what made him pretty much internationally famous. This scene right here. This here, for us, is The Big Boss. And it is legitimately a good movie. And I like this a lot. So anyways, sorry about that. Too much time knowing Bruce Lee stuff. As soon as I cut to go to the next item to show the next thing that I got, it dawned in my mind that I'd said The Big Boss. For us, The Big Boss is the actual title of the movie, and that's how I have it downstairs. That's how I have it on 3 different versions, but when it came over here, I want to say we called it Fist of Fury, only to figure out that the next movie was actually called Fist of Fury, so we called it like the Chinese Connection or something like that. It's a mess. We should just leave the titles alone. But look, this, I'm going to tell you, is overpriced at $35. But I have it now. Mega Man 3, it's in wonderful condition. The only thing I have to take off is that little bitty sticker. It's got no names on it or anything like that. It's still got its top end label. The chip is wonderful. I don't know if you can actually see it, but the chip is in great condition. Everything about this is solid and clean and wonderful, and I have another of the original Mega Man games. This I did not buy. Let's put this out there just so you get another idea of another reason that I went to QuadCon. We've been talking about that for a minute now, but I only went there with $200 in my pocket. And understand, anybody should understand this that has ever been to a con. If you go with $200 in your pocket, you went with no money. Like, no money. But I had to watch what I was doing. So I've been saving for a while, getting the idea that I was going to go to something, and I took $200 and I said, that's it. That's my limit. That's what I'm going with. I have to be able to find something there for $200. And I'm telling you guys, you'd be surprised how ridiculously quick you can run through that money if you end up drinking something while you're there, eating something while you're there, hanging out. Sometimes just to get in takes a third of that money. Like, it costs like $35 per person to walk into some of these conventions. So you get what I'm getting at. Like, you can lose money really, really fast. You go with $200, your entry fee into the door has already kind of stumbled you, and then you got to try to find something that you might want to drink while you're there or something. It can really, really come down on you if you spend time at these things. So especially if you plan on shopping, you need to have real money. So the fact that I walked in with $200 and I got everything I got is exceptional. Nick actually bought Mega Man 3 for me. Before I even got there, before I even looked through games, I got there and he was like, oh shit. And he bought it and he brought it over and he's like, you need this. And I was like, oh shit, I need that. He was right. Because yeah, it's going to be really cool to have Mega Man 3. Now we have, and this isn't the greatest collection in the world now when we talk about Nintendo. I'll be doing a whole collection at some point pretty soon because I'm trying to get a lot of these videos. I'm trying to get the ideas and get them rolling. One of the things I'd like to do again is the full collections, and we're going to be talking about everything I actually have for Nintendo. In terms of Mega Man, I have Mega Man 3, Mega Man 2. That's it. That's it. I don't have any of the others. I don't come across them in the wild, and I don't really online shop much, so he's right. I needed it. Kind of needed, because with the things like the Mega Man Legacy collections and whatnot, I think I have Mega Man 3 now. I have it physically on the NES, I have it on the PlayStation 2, I have it on the Xbox, and now I have it on the PC, and there's a chance that I'm going to be getting the Mega Man collection for the Switch, because I like Mega Man, and taking it with me somewhere, like when we go on vacation or something like that, would be pretty cool. So yeah, you get the idea. I didn't need it, but I needed it. So let's talk about, I walked by Warp Drive Toys, and I went there specifically for one reason. I knew they had a figure that I wanted. I looked around their desk a little bit, talked to the guy, and picked up Cobra Commander. Dude, yes. Yes. So yes. I love Cobra. Like, his design is so awesome, and I was so excited to get my hands on one of these Cobra Commanders. I like these figures. We talked about the Snake Eyes already a while back, and on the back of here, the characters that I said I wanted was Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Baroness, and Cobra Commander. I now have all of those, but I did get a chance to look at some of the other characters that are already out, and some of them were legitimately cool. Like, legitimately cool. I was honestly kind of blown away by some of the designs that I saw. So now I might want some others of these. They may have got me, because the figures are so good. Like, I'm not a huge... my history with G.I. Joe, if you've ever watched the toys that were a huge part of my life, there's a list on here. Maybe I'll add it in the comment, or maybe I'll link it. If you want to check out toys that were the biggest toys of my life, there's a countdown on the list. There is a list countdown. If you want to check that out, I'll post it. But Joes, to me, were actors. So when I saw Joe that had a decent look, I picked him up, and then we made our own storylines. That's part of what we did. That's what G.I. Joes were to us. So I've never necessarily been in love with a lot of these characters. I like Cobra. I like Scarlet, but I like Scarlet because she was associated closely in the G.I. Joe film stuff I seen with Snake Eyes. Like, oftentimes there would be like a CG movie or something come out for G.I. Joes, and you would get them like with the toys or whatever, and you would get that, and then I'd watch it, and there'd be like a cool ninja fight or whatever, and Scarlet was always around and always interested in Snake Eyes, and it always looked like they had a relationship. Now, I don't read all the comics and do all that stuff. I've never been big enough into Joes to do that, but these toys are iconic, and they're major, and their designs are so good that the more I look at them, the more I want some of these reimagined Joes. So I'm probably going to buy more of these, even though originally my idea was only to buy the ones that I absolutely wanted, and I've got them now. I've got Cobra. I've got Snake Eyes. And I did find Scarlet at the same con. So I got Snake Eyes. He cost me $20. That was it. At the Warp Drive table, he was $20. And I'm telling you, when you go to these things, you need to shop around. You need to shop around. You need to be careful about just grabbing something the second you see it and buying it. Now, here's where we get into trouble. See, if you buy something, it's yours. And maybe it's a good idea to buy it as quick as you can so you can just have it. But Cobra was $20 at the Warp Drive table. When I went to other tables, he was anywhere from $25. Not a huge deal had I picked him up at another table, but when you only have $200, you got to save that money, right? So look, I got him for $20. Could have got him for $25, and there were other tables that had him jacked up to $40. So there are huge differences from table to table. And since you know my collection habits, I'm going to unbox him. He's going to go on that shelf back there. So because of that, it's good that I got him for as cheap as I did at $20. And I also got the follow-up, Scarlet. I found her. Very happy that I found Scarlet. That is exceptionally cool. Because like I said, those are the ones I was gunning after. Now her, like I said, I went to another table, and they had Cobra. They had Cobra at $30. They were selling these Joes at $30, not $20. So it was a shame that Warp Drive did not have another Scarlet, and I had to go find her somewhere else, and I found her at another table, and she was $30. And I picked her up because the box is a little damaged, but you know me. I'm going to unbox her and I'm going to put her up there with Snake Eyes. So it's not really a big deal. Yeah. But I have them now. I have them and I'm happy. I'm happy that I have them. Okay. So far, 3 decent buys from the con and a gift. So I went there with $200. I spent $20, then I spent $30, then I spent $10. Okay. So we're at $60 is what I blew so far. I blew $60. Well, on top of that, I come across a table, okay? And I'm looking around and I'm trying to make my final round before we leave this place. Gwen does want something. That's not a problem. I walk around with my kid for a little while and we kind of look at some stuff. And at first she wants some stuff that I'm not really okay with buying. She wants a $60 Pokemon card, like a single card. And I'm like, you don't play serious enough for me to do that. And like, I know that kids right now, and my kid is one of them, that's like trading Pokemon cards at recess. They're like going out and being like, I got this guy and you got that guy. And while she's pretty much for the most part been pretty good about what she trades and what she doesn't trade, she has been taken a couple times where she comes home and she's like, I got these guys. And I'm like, you got screwed. And then, most of the time, her Pokemon card collection is pretty solid for what it's worth. And most of the time, she just collects the cards. She does play Pokemon cards, but for the most part, she's a heavy collector and a secondary player. Now, I passed on that one. I was like, look, I don't mind getting you something here, but it's got to be something with a little more substance than this. For right now. Like, I don't see it. $60, I'm sorry. And maybe it's that I'm not a big card person. And when you become a big card person later in your life, that's fine. I can't justify it right now. That's more money. That would be like, that's what I've spent on myself so far. Like, and I got 3 physical items. So, like, come on. So she looks around, and she does find a Rhydon, which was really cool. A stuffed Rhydon. And he was pretty big, too. He's like this big. He's kind of wide, and he looks great. And he was $40, and she was like, okay, so what about that? And I was like, that's physical. I don't care. You can have it. That's physical. That's a thing. That's a thing that you can physically have that isn't just tucked away in a book or whatever. You can display it. You can play with it. It's yours. You can walk around. It's your thing. That's cool. I'm fine with that. So there. We got it, right? She's got her thing. And I walk around to finish my night there. And I do come across an item. And I do buy that item. And now we get to the part of the video where we're going to talk about my last item. And whether or not I'm happy with it. But just to keep you in suspense, I did get one more gift at the end of the night. Because Nick was walking around tables and everything, and he'd pretty much bought everything that he was going to buy until he comes across this one table, Warp Drive Toys, and they have this one item that he didn't see anywhere else that was really cool. He found a friendship item. It's one of those items that you like break in half. One person keeps one half, the other person keeps the other half, that kind of thing, right? Well, he finds this Star Trek item, which is really cool. It's this. It's half of the fleet. It's half of the Starfleet star, this logo thing. The badge. And it says on it, I have been and always shall be your friend. And it breaks in half. He kept a half. And he handed me this half. I don't know what it cost, but it's cool. It's very interesting. It's a really good piece. And because of the kind of work that I do, oftentimes this is not something I can wear or do anything with, but I'm going to find a place to put it in here. And I get that that might seem strange, that like he bought me a friendship item, but I'm going to tell you, me and Nick have been friends for a long time. Like, we don't reference each other as friends. He introduces me as his brother, and I introduce him as my brother. He is one of the oldest surviving friends out of any group that I've ever been a part of. He knows that whatever the shit happens, no matter how much we give each other shit or shit on each other sometimes, something happens, if it comes down to it, I'm going to be there. He knows that. He can count on me. And I know that if there's anything he can do to help me, it's vice versa. That's important. It's cool to develop a friendship like that. And I'm going to tell you that it's rare. It's rare to have, like the Fandom Night crew is all friends. And we get irritated with each other at a rate that is unbelievable, but we're family. And that's the reason stuff like that happens in this group. These little friendship things like that. We do gifts and things like that. So oftentimes I come in here and I talk about it, and look, guys, it's rare. It's rare to have friends like that. So while it might be like, why did your friend buy you fucking friendship thing? There's a reason, guys. My friends are my family. Let's look at the last item. You know that I love Red Sonja. I love Red Sonja. I love Conan the Barbarian. I love this kind of stuff. And I've talked about it. I don't often come by Red Sonja merchandise. So when I seen this table that had all kinds of shit. It had Conan the Barbarian comics, like original giant size comics and everything. And it had all this cool stuff. It had Cole the Conqueror stuff and all kinds of shit. And I was like, oh man, this table is sweet. And I'm going around it. I'm trying to figure out what the last thing I'm going to buy is. And I'm really liking the idea that I finish the night on this kind of thing when I find this box. And on this box it says mystery box containing $80 worth of art for $50. Now I know how these things work, but I think to myself, you know what? Why not? Why not give it a run? Could work out for me very well. Could screw me. I'm at the con. I have the money. I told myself that's what the money was for. And I'm not spending all my money, which means I even saved. I came in under budget for the con itself. And then after I convinced myself like that, I bought this thing. First off, comics are art, but this thing was misrepresented. I thought, because there was a Vampirella box, and there was a Red Sonja box, and there was different kinds of boxes, and I thought very much that that's what these were, was that this was going to be $80 worth of Red Sonja art. Maybe some Conan the Barbarian, some stuff that was related to it. It's not. This box is awesome. And I am going to make it what they originally advertised it was supposed to be. I'm going to take this box. I'm all the way over here now. And I'm going to repack it with the stuff that I think belongs in there. But for what it's worth, let's talk about what actually came in this box. I got a Wonder Woman 750. Now, do you see my issue right off the bat here? This is loaded with comics. Not that they're awful. This guy claims the comic is worth $10. So, I mean, I guess that's a good-ass book. I'm subscribed to Wonder Woman. So I already have this. This is just a variant cover. And I'm not the kind of person that gets all uppity and excited necessarily about variant covers. So, damn. Not that it's bad. This would have been an awesome find if I didn't have it. Then there's two other big books that are worth $10 and $15. This is what I expected from the whole box. Is stuff like this. Yes, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, guys. This is Red Sonja and the Martians from Mars Attacks. This is awesome. It's too fucking awesome. And so, spending my $50, here we are at $35 for value right off the bat. So let's say that I landed pretty good. Okay? Let's just go ahead and say it, because this isn't a bad box. It's just my heart kind of sunk when I was hoping that this would be filled with Red Sonja merch and that it would be art. I thought it was going to be slides and portraits and pictures and things that I could put around in here. And it turned out not to be, and that really kind of broke my heart. I got 2 issues of Sacred 6. And when I say 2 issues, I mean an issue and a variant cover. Digging a little deeper, I got The Dreaming Waking Hours. I don't know what this is. I'm going to doubt it's from the Sandman universe. I know that, but I haven't dug into this, so I have no idea what this is. All I can tell you is that it says 1. And if it is a type of one-shot, then maybe I picked up something pretty cool. And I'll see a story, because I talked about this a little while ago. I talked about how people get in and they kind of only see superheroes. It is cool to find some books that sit outside of the superhero norm and allow you to experience something outside of that. I have 100-page, 250th anniversary special of Savage Dragon. Okay. Savage Dragon is kind of cool. And he is a little bit removed. He's a kind of third. I'm going to refer to him as third party. I refer to first party as all the stuff that you normally see in superheroes. I refer to third party, even though I guess I should call it second party, as things outside. So let's change my saying on the spot. Second party is things that are still kind of in the superhero genre, but are not tied into the main superheroes that we always see. They're kind of off the beaten path. They do their own thing, but they are superhero comics for what it's worth. And then third party, I'm going to refer to as stuff like this, and I'm going to call fourth party stuff like this. There, I've built my own terminology on the spot, and that's the way that I view things. This isn't bad. I'm not giving them grade labels. I'm saying that if I was to sort them into boxes right now, that's how I would remember them for myself. If I'm looking to do some superhero stuff, but I'm kind of tired of digging into the main, I'm going to go to the second box. If I go to the third box, I'm kind of looking for my swords and sorcery stuff and my Red Sonja, and also I'm going to tag in things into this box that would also be like Witchblade or Vampirella. That's kind of where I'm building that box. And the fourth box is secondary stories. Sunstone falls into stuff like this. Batman 97. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it is. It's certainly not Batman issue 97, right? Right? Maybe this is really cool. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure that might be a variant cover of sorts, because that seems to be a big thing that they were trying to sell at this table, in terms of like their normal comics when you weren't seeing Conan the Barbarian and things like that. In fact, it says variant cover at the bottom. So more than likely, I have this book already. Then I got Marvel Zombies Resurrection 1. Now, this is a variant edition, and I don't know if it's a single story. It may be a one-shot. Maybe I got lucky and I got something I can start and finish and I don't have to tag down the rest, because we've talked about these single issues before. When I said that I'm dropping single issues, that's not a joke. That's still a thing. And if it comes down to it, and these turn out to be issues where I have to dig up other issues, then they're gone. It means the box had no value at all. I don't know what this is. Maybe this is Wind, but this is the third book in probably a set of books. And so right off the bat, we just talked about this, not having the others. Right now, I can't get into something where I get a book that's like the fifth of a 6-part series or an on-running 90-something issues and then try to dig into it. I don't have the money or the time or the patience for it anymore. And then here's Batman 98, which makes me say, now that I'm looking at it, I have both of these. Seeing this told me I have both of these, because I recognize this. So, that was the box. Things that were worth it. That Wonder Woman is worth it. It is cool. It'll sit on the shelf. This is the best part of the box. This is the best part of the box. I cannot wait to dig into this. It's so cool. These pretty much wasted. I'm gonna end up selling them. I don't have the time. This, if it's a standalone story, could be interesting to read. I don't know if I'll keep it after I read it. It'll probably get sold. But I don't know. This could be really cool if it feels like a standalone and it's so big because the 100 pages and everything, and it's an anniversary book, and maybe if I'm lucky they tell a really good story, and if it stands alone enough, this could be something that I keep. I don't know. I don't know. This is the stack of stuff that maybe gets sold and doesn't really matter that came from that box. This is the stack I'm interested to read and check out. Was it a waste? It was $50. Out of the stuff that I've said that I'm interested in, that's 10, 20, 35, 45, 51. So supposedly, that's $51 worth of books, okay? I spent $50, so I got my money out of it. I did. I'm not complaining. I'm saying that it was disheartening that when I opened it up, it wasn't what was advertised. It said that there was $80 worth of art in this box. Comics are art. I can't take that away from them. That's exactly what they are. Sometimes they're damn good art. But, come on. Come on. You know what you did. You were surrounded by tables that were selling all kinds of tremendous artwork portraits. So you labeled your box as art. When I opened it, they were like, open it now. Open it in front of us. Let us see. Like, tell us if you're excited. So I opened it and I looked through it. And they were like, is that cool? Are you happy? And I said I was. Now that I've had a chance to sit down and analyze, I am. It was worth it. It was worth it. But on the spot, I know they could see that I was kind of disappointed because I've handed them a $50 bill and I got this box, and then I start going through the box and it's just not what I expected it to be. Now, I'm going to recoup this by taking my favorite Red Sonja books that I have, and I'm going to put them in here, and then I'll keep this down there. It's one of those don't eat this things. So this box is really cool, and it will serve a real purpose when I put my favorite Red Sonja books in it and put those favorite Red Sonja books down with the collection. And the books I got out of it were solid, except for these, but that's the chances you take with one of these grab box things. And it was at a convention, so I just took a chance, because when you go to a convention, you kind of throw out a little bit of your common sense. You dress up, you have fun, you run around, you spend probably more money than you're happy with by the end of the day sometimes. You get some cool stuff, and then sometimes you go home with some things that you go, did I really need that? Not a bad time at QuadCon. This has been a long video. This is one of those old time videos that I used to do. So I'm going to get out of here. That was my time at QuadCon. Later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.